And it is another great day for black belts and boardrooms. Very excited for this one. I've told everybody, I posted it, emailed it, Instagrammed it, because this one is a special one. This is somebody that, I hold in great regard and great respect. This is someone I call a great friend. But Amir, who do we have today?
Renard, you know, we have a very special guest, not because he's a good friend of yours. Okay. I had a chance to do a little homework before this podcast episode, and I was thrilled to just learn a little bit about Samuel. And I was even more excited that I will get to ask some of the questions directly to our guest, Samuel Davis. He's a senior executive, CTO, works and lives servant leadership. Samuel, welcome.
Thank you both. This is a pleasure. It's truly an honor, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you both. I'm looking forward to having.
Absolutely. Well, Samuel, we have a few things we do very consistently on this show, and one of the things we always like to learn about our guests first before we start diving into the more, deeper questions, if you will. So, just in your own words, a little bit, what is Samuel's origin story?
Samuel is a first generation college graduate on both sides of his family. I am a product of what it looks like when men and women provide mentorship, sponsorship, and advocacy. I have great pride and commitment in paying it forward, as many others have done that for me. I am the reflection of what it looks like when men and women develop, support, and help mold professionals as young people into the intended professionals they seek to be. Happily married to my college sweetheart. I got a 6-footer volleyball player. We have 2 teenagers, a girl and a boy, 18 and 16. Very grateful for the experiences I've had and life and the abundance that it provides. It's a pleasure to be here today. Some of the things that you all are aware of is that I'm a technologist for maybe the past 20 years. And I also consider myself to be a servant leader as I have a heart for philanthropic efforts and charity supports of nonprofits. So that's a bit about myself. And I try to create value in the lives of others as best I can, as I've truly been blessed in my life and in my.
And Samuel, candidly speaking, that is what really struck me is how you are able to, at your level, not only make time, but live with such intentionality. So, one of the things that I find, at least in my own personal life, if I use that as an example, is how do I balance my want and desire to do more for my community with my obligations at work? How do you find that time balance, and how do you think about it so that we can learn from that?
Excellent question. Um, I like to say that I am not special. However, I have worked very hard to achieve some of the accolades and achievements over the years through successes, learn lessons from failures, and attempts and efforts to grow, learning how to listen to learn so that I may understand, modifying, adapting, pivoting, taking accountability, and being intentional. So in my career, which has a background of operational sustainability, business operations, technology, financial management, and also corporate strategy and consultation, I've had to learn along the way, and eventually I obtained the level of discipline to execute and deliver as a practitioner. So I had to do the work. And I would encourage anyone that's looking to learn, to grow, to actually do the work, hold yourself accountable, be receptive to feedback, and try not to make the same mistakes twice. So with that track record, I've learned to not neglect the opportunities to create value in the lives of others, to develop talent, to impact enterprises by implementing solutions that benefit the organization that also help enhance mindset while managing transformations. So because of that privilege and being able to manage such delivery at an enterprise executive level, I feel for that privilege, the rent that I must pay for that benefit, for that perk is to give back. So that allows me to prioritize, manage my time by prioritizing. When I was much younger, I made the mistake of investing time in things that were not meaningful, nor actually gave benefits to me or those that I'm involved in or things that I was associated with. And they were wasteful. I learned it's good to invest time into things that are meaningful for good reasons, for benevolent reasons, but also that help me professionally. So to get to the specifics of answering that question, I would say that time is important. Acknowledging individuals' time and the importance that it has in their and your life, make sure that you prioritize things that are meaningful based on priority. And with that, you're able to associate the priority. For me, it's not only faith, then family, and then everything else. So as I commit myself as a professional to the industry, I work hard, I deliver results, and I ensure repeated outcomes that meet desired outcomes each and every time. I've learned to manage the discipline needed to do that. With family, I do not neglect my wife and kids as I had many years ago. So I ensure that I have a balance. I would encourage anyone that's looking to not only perform at a very high level to do so, but also ensure there's not diminishing spillover cost. So
Mm.
that is how I determine my logic as to the priority and also my involvement percentage consideration.
Boy, that is a very dynamic way to think about it. And I love some of the words you've used, and it shows that servant leadership mindset. You know, you said the rent I have to pay for the privilege that I have. I mean, that is a very powerful, quote, in fact, I would say. It's so well articulated. But if I can just go dive just a little bit more deeper into that, Samuel, you said family neglect spillovers. I think those are very common themes for all of us, working today in technology. What advice would you share with people who, for example, want to give more time to their family, but because of work obligations aren't able to do that? Or maybe there's a mindset shift that we need to adopt. How should we think about it? What advice would you share with us?
Some of the very best and earliest I received, some of the very best and earliest advice that I received in my career was during the time that I was an intern at Federated Department Stores, which is now Macy's. I was told that being a workaholic is not impressive, nor is it a flex. And the only people that it impacts are the family that you have. And those are the only individuals that would truly remember you're being a workaholic. So I learned that it's important to do good work, but not at the expense of reducing and degrading and neglecting the time in which is awarded to your family and your loved ones. So going back to prioritization, we have to keep respect for the priority things have in our lives. As I have been successful in identifying that there's a difference between having simply a job and a career, I feel that my career is a badge of honor because I work at it, I study, I practice, I respect it, and I respect others within it as well. So, to address that question, I would say to individuals that it's important to understand the concept of what it means to know that some things are a means to an end. We pursue some things in life in effort to obtain other things. We also do what we have to do so that one day we may potentially be able to do what we want to do. We have to keep in mind that if we're working to deliver a solution or a product, we are offering something, meaning we are all truly contractors. We are all subject matter experts in some right while giving something in exchange for something else. A lot of us are working to provide some service or product in exchange for a means that allows us to take care of those that are closest and nearest and dearest. I think it's important for individuals to keep that perspective. Individuals are working, contributing, and developing themselves for the benefit of someone or something, not so much for the fulfillment of simply doing it for the acknowledgement and reception of an entity that can replace you. So I think it's important to understand the prioritization and the purposefulness of why we're doing things. So for me, I feel, and I've been taught by great men and women for many years repeatedly, a thing that has resonated. If I'm not in front of my children and my wife, if I'm elsewhere spending time, it should be meaningful. If it means they are not receiving that time. So, going back to your very beginning of the question, if you're going to be focused on doing something, delivering solutions, contributing to your career or your profession, do it well. Make sure that it's purposeful because the exchange is time being used elsewhere that could be placed in the lives of those that you care about and that you love.
That is so powerful, Samuel. The words opportunity cost that you learn in school comes to mind. And what you're clearly living and articulating is the opportunity cost worth it to you? And if you can answer that question yes with confidence, then you have your priorities straight. I love the simplicity of the advice you gave too. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. And um, slightly to piggyback on that, I would say that it's important to understand as individuals try to identify for themselves what is the sweet spot between being ambitious and being content. Somewhere between the two is a sweet spot. And though you may pursue a title, a salary, that may be an achievement, but it may come with a spillover cost to where you may acquire a greater salary, you may acquire a prestigious title, but the spillover cost may be that you're inheriting stress. You are digesting and welcoming um, workplace toxicity. You are welcoming and inviting into your life imbalance and dissatisfaction or unhappiness. So again, it's very important for individuals to assess why they're choosing to do things, why they're pursuing some aspects that may, at that time with their maturity, seem to be important, but what's the true cost? So as you indicated, opportunity cost. You may acquire one thing, but what are you compromising or losing in exchange simultaneously?
Man, that's true words, and I love that you the importance that you have for your family. I think all three of us, me and Amir, we said the same thing. We can't do anything without our family. If it wasn't for them, we're not able to even sit on this podcast. If it wasn't for our family in having that home space that we need, so I definitely resonate with that and definitely understand that where you're coming from. So now, I want to go a little bit further back. You said you met your wife in college. During college, did you think that you were going to become the servant leader that you are? Was this your first option? Say, hey, it's technology. This is what I want to go into. This is what I want to do. Was that your thought going into college, or did that change along the way?
I will certainly say that it did change. A little bit about my educational background. I went to a Jesuit high school where I was one of five of those that looked like me. I then went to a um, Catholic university where I may have been one of seven of those that looked like me. That not only taught me a sense of pride, but it also taught me the importance of having self awareness and learning and having a desire to learn who am I and where have I come from and what is my origin and what is my pursuit. So, the best advice that my father, who was a professional glass cutter for over 30 years, the best and only advice that he could fathom to give to me, his only son, was find a job someday, work there for 30 years, and take care of your family. That was the best advice that he had to give to me. So again, I pay homage to not only him by teaching me good work ethic, but also to the men and women of a variety of backgrounds, ages, genders, ethnicities, etc. Those individuals really poured into me to help me become the man that I am today. And I'm grateful for each and every one of them. So, though I did excel in high school, though I did excel in college, when I got to college, I did not have a blueprint or a roadmap, so to speak. as I did not have an expectation of doing anything other than graduating. My expectation was simply to prove to myself that I could do it, that I could excel, and that I could pass the classes that I was expected to take. Career was not really in my preview. So, as I did not have a roadmap or a blueprint, I eventually became involved and exposed to those that were doing extremely well. Had been mentored by people that were showcasing this is what it looks like to be a CFO at an organization. This is what it sounds like in the office of an individual that is a comptroller. This is what it looks like when you have individuals that are reporting to you and providing updates and reports as a project manager. So I, like many people that I try to educate and encourage today, I received way back then the aha moment where I realized that I too can maybe be that. I too can maybe achieve that. I too can maybe muster up the courage to try. So, because I did not have a reservoir of confidence or belief that I would do much more than simply just graduate, barely, I take great pride in paying it forward to educating, encouraging, and showcasing ways in which others may consider themselves to be eligible, um, deserving, and ready, and to make them aware for them they are enough, oftentimes more than enough, when they may convince and tell themselves that they never can be. So, while in college, I, like a lot of people, received that aha moment that I could become a leader. I could become a manager. I could become an individual that influences mindset transformation. I could be an individual that can help with the description of the ideation of a thing and deliver solutions towards its fulfillment. And as I became seasoned in delivering results, of course, making mistakes along the way, but making improvements and assessing along the way, I reached a point to where I could share my testimony and inspire others, whether they look like me or not. And that is why I love the work that I do alongside many others in the STEM industry, community, to teach our youth. Because again, I am fully aware that I am truly the product of men and women that invested in me, that saw potential in me when I did not see that for myself.
That's powerful. That is very powerful. I think for all of us and even people listening have gone down that road where they didn't even know what their potential was or where they could go, and they needed people like yourself, like other mentors to guide them to understand, okay, I am enough. I can be that executive or that leader or inspire others. So it's very, very powerful. And I'm kind of curious, you also do a lot of charity work as well. What brought that around? What made you say, I want to give back and give to charity? You work with Make a Wish. You have your own, you do your own golf sports club now. You have that, and you have annual on a regular basis, events to give back to other charities. What made you want to get into that space?
Um, I have a tremendous amount of humility and gratitude for, again, the privilege of being able to do these things that add and create value in the lives of others. So that's my premise. I can say that my reservoir, which is my motivational fuel that inspires me, is the fact that my wife and I are proud parents of two children, both of which have developmental disability. So our son, 16 years of age, 6'4", 230 pounds, no sports, but he's very gifted in doing crafts, art, drawing, things to that degree. He has autism, so he's definitely on the spectrum. Our daughter, 18, the love of my life, she has cognitive abnormalities, which basically means she has uh, the experience of reaching milestones at a delay. So Our two children have developmental disabilities, meaning my wife and I are proud parents of children with developmental disabilities and special needs. That experience, I can say, had taught me the importance of being kind. We may think we know what people are going through in life. We have our assumptions. We try to form conclusions, but truly, we have no way of knowing what people are really dealing with. So, I learned the importance as my wife and I were going through many things that no one had any idea about, from the emotional, psychological, mental, and physical. All of those areas of life were being impacted unbeknownst to anyone. So I became aware of the importance of being kind. I became aware of the importance of listening to others to understand, listening to learn so that I understand. I learned the importance of showing respect by listening while being present, engaged, and attentive to my audience because it's meaningful. So I became, for the first time in my life, truly, as an adult, an empathetic individual, someone that practiced at being better with emotional intelligence, someone that learned the importance of being compassionate and leading with empathy. I earned a reputation for getting things done by any means as a project manager, and a great person in my life that said, you're doing great. You're delivering KPIs and hitting your metrics and all of your quotas, but you're leaving a lot of wounded bodies on the ground. And in the future, people may not want to work with you. Perhaps
Mm.
if you go about using better tact, you will obtain the exact same desired outcomes. So I learned the importance of emotional intelligence. So I share all of those things because in becoming a parent of children with special needs, for me, I learned the importance of being a person that displays humanitarianism. Humanity is beautiful when it's witnessed and observed, and when it's genuine. People can sense that. People can embrace and digest that passion. You can't fake it. So it comes through clearly for individuals, whether through verbal, whether through virtual, or in person. I don't think you can truly fake passion, not truly. So by having a reservoir of wanting to serve others, because my wife and I are proud parents and recipients of services from many nonprofits that do things for our children that we cannot do ourselves. I thought, as a leader, rather than doing the bystander effect, waiting for someone else, I took the reins and said, why not me to create this event, this initiative that adds value? So that was the origin of Good Sport Golf Club, which is an association of amateur golfers that play in golf leagues around the country. That's the business. That's the monetized services. What makes the company special is that Good Sport Golf Club manages, organizes, and coordinates charity golf tournaments and events and outings on behalf of nonprofits, free of charge. We've had success for the past 10 years in selling out each and every one of our events. Our staple is that our events are maxed out at 30 teams, which is 120 golfers, and we aim to raise net profit between 20 and $130,000 for nonprofits who solely obtain each and every one of those funds. We do not charge for any of our events for the nonprofits. That's our way as a community, wherever we have our events, which are all over the country. That's our way of saying, thank you, nonprofit, for laboring with your hearts, for doing the things that you do in a community. So it's not just me, it's a team, a national team that works collaboratively to bring about these wonderful events. And yes, a lot of these events are annual, to where we secure a presence within a community, have a phenomenal experience at the country club where we host our events. And because of the experience of the attendees being the golfers, the return on investment from the sponsors, and also for the beneficiaries being the nonprofits, because there's a return on investment for everyone involved, we are asked to return and do the same thing again and again and again. And because of that, that's the reflection of why for the past 10 years, we've been able to have these events. So because of my upbringing and my experience as a parent, of children with special needs, knowing the importance, learning the importance of being kind, being a servant leader, giving back. That's my reservoir. That's my motivation as to why I prioritize community service, volunteerism, and philanthropic effort.
I'm a little speechless. I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna add to that. Just speaking of nonprofit and giving back, and I'll tell the story. And Amir, you know this one that I'm on the Make a Wish Council here. The person we have today is the reason I'm on the Make a Wish Council in Dallas. He vouched for me and sponsored me to be on Make a Wish. You know, I remember I had the conversation with him. I said, I really want to get back. I really want to start working with nonprofits. He's like, I was thinking about you for Make a Wish. And I said, no, no. I said, you don't have to do that. I said, it's okay. You know, he said, no. He said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to send an email right now to Make a Wish. He did that. And all of a sudden, I was having a conversation with Make a Wish on the Make a Wish Council now, giving back. This is the person who said, "Hey, I'm gonna vouch for you. I'm gonna sponsor you so you can get back in your area." So I want to say that by just saying thank you for that. My friend saw potential in me when I didn't see potential in myself from a nonprofit standpoint and giving back. And I can tell you, you know, we've had Tiffany from Make a Wish on one of our episodes, and she sees how happy I am giving back and everything. So I have to say thank you, Samuel, for taking a chance and sending that email. It has been a great experience, and I thank you for doing that.
Um, you are more than welcome. I show homage and gratitude for those that came before me that provided me with opportunity, consideration by showing that and giving that to you and others. Um, I think that iron sharpens iron. I also believe that as people, collectively as people, we all must celebrate those whose eyes light up when they see us coming. As I saw you coming and your skills, your potential, your aptitude, your acumen, my eyes lit up. I want to promote and showcase and assist and support in any way. So whether that's standing beneath and looking up and applauding, or if it's standing beside and behind you, I am an advocate and supporter of you and others that try to create value in the lives of others, as others have done it for me. So I think it's a part of that ripple effect where goodness was put into this earth, it created a ripple, and it perpetuates itself as others display good deeds, support, advocacy. So truly my pleasure, and I'm very proud that you've been doing an extremely good job. Means my recommendation holds weight.
Well, Samuel, I'm sitting here and listening to you speak, and I can't help but think that you are a master of strategy built around kindness. So you use kindness as a strategy, and I think there are not too many leaders, at least that I can name in my mind right now, who carry that value with them wherever they go. And I see that in you in spades. So you mentioned something as well. You said that you're not just your family and paying it back for the people who have helped you. How much of faith plays into your thinking and your strategy for kindness? Because you also mentioned faith as a component in your worldview. And as a person of faith myself, I think that's a very important component for me as well. But if you will, whatever you're comfortable with, touch on the topic of kindness as a strategy and how much faith plays into it.
Absolutely. I believe that if I, like so many others, aspire to live my life like a greater person had lived their life, then I should try to model the behavior that they displayed. And if they or whatever entity that an individual may believe in, if that representative lived their life in accordance of loving others, of trying to do good for others, and if I consider myself to be a follower of that principle, I'm going to try to duplicate as best I can the efforts, activities, and behaviors of that entity. So for me, regarding my faith, I follow the principles, the actions, and lessons that I believe in based on what I have as a spirituality uh, head of my life and my family's life. So I try to replicate, emulate, and produce good works that reflect that. So I like to be careful out of respect for our audience. But for me, when it comes to faith, I'm not apologetic by saying I'm a man of spirituality and I believe in a higher power. And I believe that everyone has a purpose and a meaningfulness on earth for some reason. And I think that if we make efforts to deliver things, behave in ways that adds value, creates value, I think we're doing something right because that's a language, that's a behavior that is recognizable across the entire world. So something must be good about it. So going back to your point, which I appreciate you recognizing, leading with empathy is not a weakness, it's actually a strength. Men and women that are able to communicate by displaying vulnerability and transparency are issuing their uh, true, authentic self, meaning they're coming to you with their hands down in peace. They're not coming to you with their fists up. So I believe that by being honest, truthful, authentic, vulnerable is me giving you myself in an honest, genuine way. And either it's received or it's rejected, whichever of the two. And oftentimes, if I'm dealing with rational minded individuals and I'm being rational myself, I think the feedback can be a good thing. So I hope that's a good way to answer that question. But as a man of God, I feel that as I follow and lead and move in ways that shows respect, adoration, and appreciation, I think that things will fall into place regarding the treatment, the respect, adoration of my wife to me, because she knows where my submission lies, which is to my greater power and belief in my God.
That's amazing. And I really appreciate you taking the question head on, Samuel. I will tell you that, you know, my experience informs me that not everybody lives those values in their day-to-day life, and they will compartmentalize that part of themselves. To see you be so bold and authentic with your whole self, to me, just shows tremendous leadership. And I just want to acknowledge that to you here. I think that's fantastic. But with that, I want to tap a little bit more into the recharge aspect of life. I find that the more authentic I become, the more authentic I show up in more places, the more I need to spend time on myself to recharge. What does that recharge look like for you? And what advice would you share with those who do show up with their authentic self?
It's important for individuals that function at a high level that have to maintain a level of discipline to execute and to deliver, to intentionally detach temporarily so that they may replenish. That's a necessity of self care, mental health, and also self preservation. A lot of individuals, including myself many years ago, I and many alike me and those that I aspire to be like, they became individuals that had to deal with the penalties of being reliable, individuals that simply would not say no, individuals that simply would volunteer or be volunteer told to do XYZ things. And that becomes a brand, that becomes an affiliation, that becomes a narrative. And that actually can become an inroads into burnout. So, because those are life learned lessons through observation, through experience and testimony, I know it's important for anyone that is delivering a product, service, solution, some type of value add that is meaningful, there needs to be for self some type of um, removal of self that allows you to detach emotionally, mentally, physically, temporarily from your day to day so that you may recharge. And whatever that looks like for that individual in a healthy way, I would encourage them to make that a non negotiable that has a set timeline in which it happens routinely just to do self care. So, much like with vehicles, there's something called routine checkup, maintenance alerts. I think people can do the exact same. There's a lot of people that travel that may spend many weeks, nights, months on the road in the air. That offers a lot of benefits. It may be a necessity, but I do think every person in their own way, with respect for themselves and their matters they're managing, needs to be able to detach, replenish, recharge so that they can sustain that level of delivery, that level of excellence.
So, a more pointed question on that note, then, Samuel, you as a leader, how do you build a culture that prioritize that as a non negotiable in your organization?
There's many ways that I could answer that, but the simplest way that I can say is to expose the truth of my why
Mm.
and my descriptive association of my why and the why that our organization should embrace or buy into. I have learned and experienced that individuals who work very hard contribute very much to individuals that they respect and have an awareness that that individual has an awareness and recognition of their efforts and contribution. Individuals value relationships, not just transactions. So by taking the time to respect an audience, by making them aware of the importance of having an awareness of the why, that I think is what motivates individuals to buy into a concept, a methodology, an approach. Some individuals may say, well, that sounds like that of a strategic tactician. Potentially it is. However, if an individual takes the time to address a culture that is looking to buy into a methodology, an approach, an attempt, if they know what they're looking at, if they have an awareness of the approach, the strategy, the why, they're much more likely to remain engaged and disciplined in fulfilling the expectations of what's needed to get things done. So I have learned that it's definitely an approach to use brute strength to get things done, but that's not sustainable in any era, any generation, or any society. Truly, knowing how to work with individuals, respect your audience, and communicate in a way that resonates with individuals, I think that helps. And to be very clear, it's important for a leader to set the tone by saying, we as a group, we are going to listen without defending. We are going to speak without offending. So that is a strategy that ties that circle, I believe, to have the impression that you're going to, as a leader, speak without offending and encourage the audience to listen without defending so that work can be done. So that's a roundabout way of saying uh, treat your audience well as best you can and allow them to know that your why, your expectation is actually definable. And that I think can influence desired outcomes in many different ways, whether it's technical, whether it's philosophical, or if it's functional or operational.
Samuel, I could write down so many quotes the way you're speaking. It is amazing. I love what you just now said, which is listen without defending and speak without offending. I think it's fair to say that as a technologist, it's very easy to fall into the trap of listening to feedback and then trying to defend a decision you might have made when implementing a solution. I think we fall very easily into that trap just because of the nature of the engineering work or the IT work that we do. And so I love the way you framed it. If I can just ask one more question on that same point, which is, how do you coach your teammates, or how do you put structures and systems in place where people do become better at listening without defending and speaking without offending anybody? Because that is a very, I would say it's a skill that can be learned and not everybody has it. But I'd be curious to learn from your perspective what systems you have found to be successful when you put in your organization as a leader.
I have learned that good leaders realize they are not managing any person or any people. They do not lead. They are not managing people. They are managing processes. Leaders are motivating, giving awareness of direction. So having that mindset, that visibility lens allows you to stay focused on ways that you go about doing things. I really believe that. So I would say that defining the desired outcome is something that's truly important, but also making individuals aware of the expected approach helps also. Individuals do not, I believe, want to simply guess or have to adapt to what they're being told. I think when individuals are able to be a part of the discussion, considerations of the proactive efforts, they're able to digest and adjust accordingly. So I think that's a great question. It's one that I feel, with my perspective and experiences, is somewhat loaded because there's ways to address based on the situation. But I think in general, it would be ensuring that there's an awareness of what is the expected approach, the why, and how collectively an organization is going to go about getting particular things done. So I would say, regarding AI, individuals have, in a lot of ways, a limited awareness of what the purposes are and come from AI. You know, because of that, it's important to ensure that the delivery of communication is done in a tactful way. And to get to my answer for what you're saying, what's needed? It's a level set. Ad hoc is an expectation within many organizations. Ad hoc processes, ad hoc standards. Well, at some point in time, there needs to become a level set so that there's an awareness. Though we did things, though we allowed things, though things were tolerated for XYZ reasons, this today is the announcement that ensures action items are understood as this is the new way and direction, and this is the level set. That type of determination, that type of leadership, that type of audacity with respect needs to happen in order to influence change, especially when it's mindset transformation, because individuals will buy into clarity versus ambiguity. It's possible to work in environments where there's ambiguity, but when there's clarity, there's an awareness of the mission, the vision, and the purpose. I think the alignment ensures a roadmap that allows milestones to be obtained progressively with success. So that would be my clear answer. Ensuring that there's a level set at some point in time and communicating as to why it's needed now. So that going forward, this is the standardization approach that will be embraced. And as a result, the spillover benefit all with other opportunities that uh, introduce other elements that are advantageous. I hope that's fair.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Samuel.
Yeah, that definitely is fair. I wanna get on a topic, now what you're currently doing, you work for Echelle Resources, you're the senior VP and the CTO of the business. Could you give us a quick background of the company and what value it brings? I know it's in the automotive space as well, so would love to hear from you about the company.
Absolutely. I was approached by a great guy, founder and CEO of an organization that's a tier one supplier provider of automakers and OEMs across the world. This individual indicated we're in need of an individual to help lead our tech strategy and help identify ways in which we can not only acquire new accounts, but grow our book of business by offering great solutions. So my responsibilities as a CTO are to help define, ensure that we're not only competitive from a perspective of software, innovation, and creativity as thought leaders, but we're also delivering products and services that are meaningful. So Echelle Resources, a global services, solutions, engineering solutions, and custom software development organization does a lot of great things. But the key things that I take pride in is that it's an organization that values itself in forming relationships. We listen to learn so that we understand. We deliver solutions that are meaningful, that may help reduce tech debt, that ensure efficiency optimization, that streamlines processes that are much more meaningful to the organization while also helping to improve morale. So we do a lot of great things, and as you indicated, we offer great supports to the automotive industry. We are truly expert level automotive subject matter experts that specialize in custom software development, embedded services, infotainment, and a variety of other automotive solutions. But we also provide services and supports and solutions through our professional services and engineering solutions to a variety of other industries, uh, insurtech, fintech, and a number of other industries that benefit from technologies. So I'm glad to say that many organizations are recognizing they're looking to align with an organization that's large enough to offer solutions to some of the largest organizations on planet Earth, but also being an organization that is small enough to give that intimate, custom, engaging interaction and experience to where you have a point of contact, meaning you're liking the people you're working with. You're familiar with the individuals that you have as points of contact, and they're giving results that are sustainable, repeatable, to where you'd be willing to extend your referral of them. So I'm very happy to be in my current role, having a lot of successes, looking forward to sharing a lot of announcements regarding good alignments, collaborations, and partnerships, and also deals being won. So I'm grateful that the mindset of our team, especially at the leadership level, and also the body of the workforce is that we work to create value in the lives of others and our clients. We work to establish relationships that are meaningful, that allow organizations to scale and develop while remaining a part of their journey. So, having a lot of fun in this space and looking forward to a lot of great things during this year.
No, that's great, and I'm curious. We were talking a little bit about AI a little bit earlier, and how does that start to see for a Shell Resources with AI? I'm sure the customers that you're working with, everyone's asking about it. If they haven't already, they probably are. What are y'all aligning as far as the business and for your customers with AI?
Absolutely. So we are senior level experts at implementation of AI solutions that are meaningful, that are viable, and also address a lot of needs. We're also solution practitioners by doing so in a way that is meaningful, that is operational, sustainable, and also risk avoidance. So we ensure that not only is the security there, but the infrastructure is there to where we can preserve environments while also allow for interoperabilities regarding APIs and a lot of other things. So regarding AI transformation, digitization, all of these things are meaningful to organizations and they want to know what's a way in which we can implement AI within our workplace to where there are residuals, return on investment, but that is also sustainable while assuring security layers. We go about it with a an approach that is smart, that is viable, realistic, but also that is considerate of where the organization is. We as an organization love to utilize the lighthouse approach to where we're able to deliver solutions at a speed that works for our clients or customers that is meaningful, meaning that we're able to meet them where they are, make recommendations, of course, and help them grow, scale, and develop. Regarding AI, we do a lot of different things with prototypes and proof of concepts. So we're able to help organizations that are looking to ideate, that are looking to modernize, that are looking to replace legacy applications, or create ERP solutions or SaaS products and tools. Regarding AI, we think of it as a way, an opportunity to listen, to learn, and understand our clients' needs, making an assessment that is meaningful to them, that is going to ensure that our recommendations have meaningful delivery once implemented and deployed into.
I love that because you're giving them basically a smaller lens to look at when it comes to AI. Instead of saying, "Hey, I want AI," just throw it at it and hopefully it lands somewhere, and that's not what you want. And I love that y'all are doing that and, having empathy even in the conversations. Like, we understand what you're trying to do, but we wanna make sure that what we implement for you is bringing value to your business, not just for the short term, but for the long term. So I love that. And thinking about your career and what you've done, I'm curious at the end of the day whenever you feel like you're ready to retire and write a book or whatever that's going to be, what do you want your legacy to be, and what do you want people to say about your legacy?
You are trying to make me cry, I realize. You know, as a first generation college graduate, I'm proud to say today that I helped set the tone and expectation that my nephews and nieces and some of my cousins not only will go into school, but also enjoy and fulfill the expectations of higher education. That has now become an expectation and standard within my family. I'm grateful for being the first. I did not do it all by myself, of course. It took a community. I am grateful for contributing to that aspect that so can you, and you must try. So that is something that I have helped to influence within my family. So regarding legacy, my dream would be to influence something that allows others to feel that they pay homage to me as I pay homage to others who have done things in ways that helps me maintain concentration in performing a particular way. For example, my grandmother, let's say fifth, sixth grade education, tremendous work, loved by an entire community, lived to love others. At the time, as a young person, I had no idea why someone would do so much for others and expect nothing in return. I later learned that she had an appreciation for being successful. Why? She did things for the benefit of others who solely benefited, and she expected nothing in return. As a result of having that level of character and dignity, her name is remembered 50 years later as she is an ancestor within an entire community, to where there are not only locations, but also systems in place that pay homage to her name. Again, this is the person with the fifth, sixth grade education. I would like to reach a point eventually, potentially, to know that there is something, some place, there is some entity, maybe even a person, even if it's one, that feels that they may pay homage to my name as they aspire to do, as I've tried to do, which is what I've tried to do in modeling others. I feel that for me, that will be success, to know that I've done something that was meaningful to make someone, as I've done in my life, which is to maintain concentration and trying to do as others have in front of me. If there's someone that in the future says, I'm going to maintain discipline and concentration to do as Samuel Davis had done, I feel for me that would be a life success and that would be a legacy fulfilled.
That's a powerful legacy. I will say that. That's a powerful legacy. If you talking about that you're about to cry, you about to make me cry. I had to hold back some tears from that because it's a story that many people have gone through, many people have had relatives that can share those type of stories, but you're building a legacy that not just professionally, but personally. People will remember what you have done on both sides, not just from a professional level. No one's going to say, what, Samuel, he worked real hard, and they don't know anything else about you. So it's definitely an honor to have you on our podcast today. And before we go, I ask everyone, what's your theme music? What gets you ready for the day? If that's, going to, a charity event, if it's going to work, etc. What is that theme music that gets you ready for the day?
Wow. So, if you ask my wife, it would be the theme music of Rocky.
Okay.
She would say that's the theme music that I would play each and every day, that never gets old, that I simply love listening to each and every time I hear it, as if it's the very first time. So I'm one of those humongous fans of Rocky and Jaws. I'm a big fan of both franchises, and any of the theme music from either of those shows I love. But the truth is that it would be Cherish the Day, Sade.
Mm,
Cherish the Day. That would be my theme music that I feel I would play on repeat each and every day if I could. That would be the theme music for me.
man, Sade, you can't go wrong with Sade. You that is something you can't go wrong with. I can actually hear that music right now. Since you said that, now I have to ask another question. Since it's about Rocky, which is the best movie for you out of all the Rockies? Which one is the number one movie that you saying that's the one I will watch every single time?
Such an awkward question because I love each and every one of them. But for me, it's the very first one.
Okay,
I,
okay,
I, I love everything about it. I love the character development. I love the way that they pay homage to the dedication towards pursuing a goal and also the integrity of doing something with full intensity without reservation. I also love the fact that it preserves the awareness and respect of the audience and the viewer to know that though the odds may not appear to be in your favor, though the road less traveled may appear to be one that's too hard, through productive discomfort, you too can win. So, number one would be the one that I place as my first choice.
okay, okay. I like that. Number one, I might have to say number two, and the only reason is there's a part in the movie where Apollo's sitting there and he was like, I got to fight Rocky again. He's like, I won, but I didn't beat him. And his trainer goes up to him. He said, "You don't want these problems, Apollo." He was the only one being honest with him out of the entire group. Said, "I've never seen a man get beat that much and keep coming. You don't want those problems." And that made me understand about um, getting past being uncomfortable. It's weird that way that Rocky took a beating and just kept coming. And he said, "Man, you don't want those problems. You don't want a man who will keep coming no matter what when it gets difficult, when times are hard and they keep pushing forward." So, I will definitely say you, Samuel, are one of those people. Amir, you are one of those people. So I have to say, Samuel, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It has definitely been a masterclass. I've learned stuff and I know you and I still learn some new stuff today. I definitely appreciate you taking the time. And I will definitely say to our Black Belts and Boardrooms listeners, we will see you on the next one.